Hello, and welcome to Draw With Me. I'm Danny Gregory, and I will be the person you'll be drawing with, as well as a large number of other people scattered around the world who are going to be drawing with us, you, me, and them. Happy Boxing Day, day after Christmas. I hope you had a nice Christmas and that you got all of the presents that you wanted. Watercolor sets, pens, sketchbooks, all those other kinds of things. And I'm really happy to be here with you again because we're just going to draw. Now, here's the thing about Draw With Me, just for those of you who maybe haven't done this a lot before. Draw With Me is just an opportunity to hang out, chat, and draw the same object or same thing with a bunch of other people or not. You can draw anything you'd like. Just the idea is really, let's spend half an hour drawing together. I'm probably not going to teach you much, if anything. Certainly not about drawing. I'll tell you a bit about how I draw and what I'm drawing, what I'm thinking about. But really, this is just more of an opportunity to make an appointment with yourself to draw and to say, let's do it at least half an hour a week. More than that would be good too. So there are one of the issues that comes up when you're drawing is what to draw. And so I'm glad to say that that's the one problem that I will solve with you, which is to say we're going to draw a thing, the same thing. Each time we will draw the same thing, or we'll have the same assignment, and that thing will come from a list of drawing prompts that I have put together. Now, you may be asking yourself, where do I get this list? And I'm asking myself that same question, and I've made the list. We have designed it into a beautiful piece of art that you can print out and put into your sketchbook, but we haven't yet shared it. Why? Because it's the holidays and everything is slowed down. Know, however, that list does exist, that I am drawing from it today, and that you will be able to get it. I know you'll get it by the end of the year, which is only 5 days away. Let's say you'll be getting it next week. Before we meet again, I think I will be able to share this list with you. So this list is full of interesting, challenging things, fun things, easy things, all kinds of things, but it just solves that age-old problem. What do I draw today? So today we're going to draw from that list, and we are going to be drawing a toothbrush. So if you have a toothbrush handy, you might want to go and get it and bring it here. If you don't own a toothbrush, well, you might want to speak to your dentist, and maybe they'll give you a free one. I would recommend owning a toothbrush. It's definitely a good thing to own. I own several, and I'm going to be drawing one of them today. So get your toothbrush. And also, another thing is, a toothbrush is a relatively simple thing to draw, depending. They're kind of complicated toothbrushes too, but let's assume it's relatively simple. And so therefore I thought, let's just play around with different ways of drawing it. Let's bring in a bunch of art supplies, whatever you have around the house, pens, markers, crayons, colored pencils, watercolors, whatever you want. And let's just play around with those. So what my idea is that we'll draw a toothbrush and then we'll do it again, but with different media, and we'll just keep going down the page of our sketchbook to do that with. Okay? So that is the plan. So hopefully you're all set, all ready to go. And I see that there's a number of you out there. That's fantastic. I had wondered about that, honestly. I thought, day after Christmas, either we'll get no people because everybody is busy, or we'll get lots of people because nobody's busy. Today's a good day to just hang out and draw. So it looks like the latter has been the case, and that's really nice. So, all right, so let's have a look at my toothbrush. All right, so this is a new toothbrush. I just got it a couple weeks ago. I try to change my toothbrush once a month, that's what they say you're supposed to do. I know it seems crazy, right? I remember when it used to be once a year, or maybe once every time you went to the dentist, or twice a year. But now people say change your toothbrush every month, and that way you won't get, I don't know, what, colds or something? I don't know exactly, but so what we do now is we buy like boxes full of toothbrushes. They're pretty inexpensive, and there is a certain kind of excitement around getting a brand new toothbrush. I mean, on the scale of exciting things, it's relatively low down. But, I mean, if you had not a great Christmas, you could say, well, at least I got a new toothbrush. Your teeth will be happy about it. And there's always that kind of first couple days with a new toothbrush where you say, well, it's a little, a little unfamiliar, feels a little bit different in my mouth. But yes, once a month, I know. The Big Shed Art is horrified by that. Maybe it's an American thing. Supposedly, I don't know. It does seem like a lot. But I'm willing to go with it. Just for the sake of novelty. And for the sake of something new to draw. There you go. That's the reason. So, anyway, this toothbrush, as you can see, it's dang fangled, right? It just seems to have a lot of things going on that seem to be, I don't know, probably unnecessary. While I was waiting for you, I did draw this. So I drew what I thought a toothbrush should look like. And then I drew this guy. So I had a little bit of a head start just because I was here a few minutes early. So this guy I just want to see, could I draw him? So let's assume that I can. And let's assume that you have a toothbrush too. I'm just going to do a sort of a smallish line drawing first of this toothbrush. And I'm going to draw him in profile. So there are a few surprising things about this toothbrush. One of which is just the proportions. The handle is really a lot longer than the brush. Sort of makes sense. But it's not the way I would have thought it. I think if I just drew another toothbrush from my imagination, I would focus probably much more on the bristles and so forth. But so yeah, so this has a very fat end. I'm not quite sure why it's so fat, but that is the way the toothbrush is. So yeah. So anyway, if you want to just listen to me prattle on while you draw, that's fine. If you want to just watch how I draw a toothbrush for this, because you may have been wondering, how on earth do I draw a toothbrush? Oh, come on, a toothbrush? What next? I understand. It can seem daunting. But don't be worried. It's not really that hard. You just have to pay attention to the details, and this particular toothbrush does have a lot of details to it. I'm not sure if there was some super bored designer somewhere at what's the company? Oral-B, who's just said, you know what? I'm gonna make sure that I preserve my job by telling all those people who are going to buy toothbrushes every month that they need to get one that has all these cool features, like especially this gripper thing. It has like these little indentations to make sure you can get a really firm grip on it. Because of course, that's so often a problem when you're drawing a toothbrush, right? Or you're using a toothbrush, that it slips out of your hand and ricochets across the room. I know, I deal with that every day. In fact, I usually have my toothbrush chained down so that I make sure that it isn't going to get too far. Maybe I should get like one of those little bungee things, so if I drop it, it will spring right back into my hand. Yeah, there's some reflections in the toothbrush handle. You might want to make sure you capture those too. Like, what light is it reflecting? The light has suddenly changed in the last 2 minutes in this room. For those of you who have ever watched Draw With Me before, you'll know that they usually happen at noon. And as a result, the light can kind of change in crazy ways. in the middle of recording this. So that seems to be the case today. We've got a winter sun blasting in. It's been very, very nice actually in New York City over the last few days. So despite the fact that it is late December, the temperature has been in the 40s. It might even go up to 50 today, which is pretty unusual for this time of year. I know in California it's wet, and I'm not sure how it is where you are, but you know, it's sort of like the classic frosty sprinkle of snow everywhere, but failing that, it's not bad to have some nice weather. Yesterday, my wife and I walked up Fifth Avenue from the Greenwich Village where I live. We walked all the way up to Central Park to look at the Christmas windows on Upper Fifth Avenue. That's where a lot of the big kind of snazzy department stores are, the ones that are left. And we looked at their windows, which were frankly pretty disappointing. I don't know, like we looked at one store's windows were a tribute to the movie Frozen 2. A whole window just about Frozen 2. Sort of Christmassy, but sort of, you know, give it a break. And then, I don't know, Bergdorf's, which usually has the best ones, they were nicely designed, but they come up with this idea that everything, it's as if you're looking down on different rooms. That was the theme for each of the windows, that you're looking down on different rooms. So it was a little discombobulating that you're looking down onto like a room full of dancers and stuff. It was cool. Again, not terribly Christmassy, but there you have it. So another thing I'm noticing about these brushes, these bristles, is they don't go straight up and down. They all have different angles that they go at. So, all right, so there it is. That's basically the job done. One toothbrush. All right, let's get looser now, because that was you know, that was a lot of work. So, time for some other materials. So I think what I'll do, I think I'm just going to try these Eccoline brush markers. I should probably start with the black one, because black is the dominant thing here. So let's just see, and I'm going to try and just move quicker, so we can just have a different kind of spirit to it. Yeah. Line quality varies depending on the speed of your hand movement, of course. Move fast and you get faster, smoother lines a lot of times. Oof, look at that. What the hell happened here? That's disappointing. All right, Eccoline, clean you up later. Let's try some. Fortunately, the set of markers I have has several different oranges, so try a different one. And yes, so I hope that you had a nice Christmas. We had a relatively low-key one. We had a party on Christmas Eve. We had a bunch of friends over for that. And as usual, my wife massively overestimated how much food we would need. I always hesitate to say anything to her, but I always say, you know, do we really need that much food for this few numbers of people? And she always says, I won't overdo it this year, I promise. And then we end up with like cookies and prosciutto and all kinds of stuff that lasts us for days and days and days, which is, it's not a bad thing. I'm not really going to complain about it, but it means that we end up eating leftovers basically for the rest of the year. So we're kind of going through that phase right now. And there's just too many damn cookies everywhere. I mean, really. Never thought I'd hear myself say that, but of course, that is the case. All right, so that's that kind. I think I'm going to try one with, how about gouache? Excuse me. So here I have a set of gouache, opaque watercolors, and I think I'll try those. I have a water brush in here somewhere, preloaded with water, and yeah. So I'm going to try that. Moisten up this brush. No, he's not happy. This brush needs some more time to collect himself. Yeah. Gail, I see you got a set of 30 Ecolina markers. You're lucky. Yeah, I have a big set like that too. These markers, really nice. Really nice. You've heard me rave about them before. And I also finally found out, I think, how to pronounce them. I was told by somebody in the know, somebody who works in the business of art supplies, that they are not called Ecoline. They're called Ecoline or Ecoline, something like that. So yes, I'll try and call them by their appropriate name in the future. I hope you didn't succumb to holiday depressing feelings. Those can happen, of course. Just because I don't know what entirely the reason is. I think part of it is I don't know. Maybe your expectations are too high. Maybe that comes from the days of being a little kid and wanting all these exciting things for Christmas and then getting them and feeling disappointed in some way. I don't know. Or maybe it has to do with having to spend time with your relatives. Could be. Or it could be not getting to spend time with your relatives. That could just as easily be the case. I know that there's some members of my family that have been suffering from that because they've been missing some people who are no longer with us. And the holidays are a reminder of that. So I hope that you didn't suffer from that. I have to say, this is to me one of the design flaws of this toothbrush. I just want to point it out to you. Yellow bristles. Why would you want yellow bristles? You want your bristles to be white. I'm sorry. When you brush your teeth, you don't want yellowness in there. That seems to defeat the whole incentive to brush your teeth. Yellowness? I don't know. Maybe whoever designed this doesn't actually use a toothbrush. That's all I can think of. Why would you do that? Anyway. All right, so that's gouache. Gouache is, as I said, it is opaque. So, the colors are more solid in a way than in watercolor, and they are. You don't layer other things on top of them. You simply, you can't layer lighter colors on top of dark ones, but you can do it the other way around. You can put a darker color on top of a lighter one, which I would demonstrate for you right now, but I would ruin my painting of my toothbrush, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I will show you, here's a set of watercolors. You can try that too. These are Windsor and Newton watercolors. I like Windsor Newton, but there's a lot of good brands in case you don't have those. But yeah, we'll start with these with black. Black is not normally a big watercolor color, just simply because it is so dark, and you usually you don't start with your darks. But in this case, I'm going to. I'm ornery that way. This is the time of year also for assessment, right? End of the year, you know, media is full of these sort of best ofs kinds of things, and yeah, there's that as a factor. Have you been thinking about your year and how it went? I mean, my year was, I have to be honest with you, it was not a great year. I mean, I try to be generally upbeat and optimistic, you know, but I'm not sure that I really will miss 2019 when it's gone. I'm looking forward to the 20s to come. The 20s. Yeah, I mean, I had, you know, I had some health things. I think I've told you about those earlier in the year. And I'm all fine now. As you can tell, I'm robust in the picture of health. But yeah, that was a little bit unpleasant earlier in the year. And I had a death in the family, and had a kind of a near death. Turned out, hopefully it's not. It's okay now. Everything is good. But there was a lot of stress around that, and that was not nice. But you know, but there were also good things this year. I mean, it was a good year at sketchbook school. It was really a fun year. Did a lot of great things this year that I enjoyed. I hope you did too. And you know, in terms of art making, I did a fair amount of art making. I certainly did a lot of iPad art making, and I got to go to Europe for a couple months, and I got to make art there, which was great. And then, you know, I'm just thinking about how next year is going to be different. And I think it's going to be different in terms of my art making. One thing is, I'm really glad that to quote Carol Burnett, I'm glad that we have this time together. I think it's really nice to have this to look forward to for me every week, to know that I'm going to be drawing and hanging out with you guys. That is certainly something good, but it's also a reminder to me that, you know, drawing can just be a more casual thing. You know, I think that particularly when you spend as much time as we do thinking about teaching stuff and people learning new things, you know, there can be a tendency to feel like you have to be really accomplished in art making. And that's something that, you know, I've tried to dissuade myself from for 20 years now, that it doesn't really matter. You know, the goal isn't some amazing result. By the way, I'm using colored pencils now. These are Derwent Inktense, which are really nice, but I have lots of different kinds, but I think maybe I'll focus on the Derwents for now. Yeah, so, you know, that making art can just be a fun thing to do. And what I've been doing more and more recently is I've been thinking about kid art. Not the rapper Kid Art. Is there a rapper named Kid Art? Should be, right? But just the way that kids make art and the relationships that they have with making art. And, you know, that's something that's always intrigued me and enticed me, and something that I want to have as my guide more and more in my own art making, which is to just think about art as a thing that is really fun to do, and to make it fun and to keep it fun, and to think about much less about whether or not it's good, and whether or not it looks like the thing that it's supposed to look like, and more about, was it fun to do? Was that a fun experience? And, how can we keep it fun? How can we make it light and, easy and just something we do without judgment? Because I think if we do that, if we can get to really believing that and really emphasizing this idea of fun, then we'll do it more, because we won't have as much judgment and, disappointment and sense of not meeting the mark and all those things that I think in the end tend to just convince us it's not worth doing. And I know it's worth doing. And that's something I think about a lot, and is this idea that art is, I wouldn't say it's therapy, because it might be, but that's not really the point that I'm coming at. But it's more that it's something that makes you feel like yourself in the best possible way. And when you feel like yourself, the best version of you, that's really the whole point, isn't it? Isn't that the whole point of life, is to have this sense of who you are, and to be able to dimensionalize that and realize that, and not feel like you failed, because we only have this one life. So if we feel like we failed at it, then what? I guess we can wait for the next incarnation, but that just seems sad. So I really want to focus instead on just enjoying the time that I have, and thinking again about when kids make art, they are exploring, they're storytelling, they're learning, yes. They're often not learning necessarily about art making, they're learning about other stuff. They're learning about life, they're learning about the world. And they are, most of all though, they're exploring and letting things happen. And I think that is something that I want to be able to do more of this year. Right? So when you let things happen, as opposed to controlling them and guiding them, but if you say to yourself, I'm just going to, see where this goes, see where it goes. And I think it can be much more fun than if you set out on this kind of journey to a very specific destination, and you're kind of grimly saying to yourself, I've got to get to this place where I've drawn a perfect toothbrush that looks like a photograph and it's unbelievably real. And okay, that's the only reason that this is worth doing, because if it isn't unbelievably real looking, then I suck and this is awful and I should never do this again. All those kinds of silly thoughts. If instead you say, let's just see what unfolds as we're drawing, and maybe the things that will happen aren't things we expected at all. And maybe instead of controlling the situation, we can watch it open up and happen. Like watching a movie. Have you ever had that experience of you watch a movie and you're just not really, you haven't willingly suspended disbelief. So as a result, you're noticing things about the movie making process instead of going with the story. So you're saying, yeah, that line of dialogue seemed tinny, or yeah, I don't know if that's authentically of the period, or why did they cut there? I don't know, maybe you don't think about those things, do? I do, because I kind of have been in the filmmaking business for so long. But in general, though, I think you look at it and you go, it's so much better to just say, I'm going to just go with the story. I'm just going to see what happens, and then I'm in the story. I'm in the story. Same with reading a book, right? If you just kind of lose yourself, right? That's the expression, lose yourself, and see what happens. Go with it. And, I think similarly with a drawing, you can just let yourself go and let that drawing unfold. And trust that it will be an interesting journey. And then the drawing itself is sort of just a reminder or a map of that journey that you took. But what really matters was the experience you had of doing it, the experience you had while it was unfolding. So, all right. So these are these really kind of inexpensive Japanese markers. I bought this huge box of these for a really small amount of money. It was like $8 or something like that. And they are supposedly watercolor. I'm not sure what that means, but here, like if they're sort of, see, you can sort of break them down. They're watercolor-ish, but they're nice fine marker. So anyway, there we have it. A page of toothbrushes. 1, 2. So ink, gouache, watercolor, Ecoline, colored pencil, and acacia thin markers. So, and then of course, the original. Whoops, there it is. There is my thing. I had an idea which I didn't end up doing, which is, this is an old toothbrush of mine. Don't worry, that's why it's brown. It's not brown because of all the fungus it's scraped off my teeth, but it's brown because I use it in watercolor or in ink, and I'll dip it in, and then I'll go and I'll spray stuff. So I sort of had an idea that I would do that, but I didn't, and probably just as well, less messy. So, keep drawing if you'd like while I conclude my thoughts. Some of you, by the way, got a survey from Sketchbook School and filled out it was just basically a survey to find out, like, what are we doing that you like and what are we doing that you don't like, and so we can stop doing that, and what would you like us to do that we aren't doing so we can start doing that. And so a lot of you responded to it, and it was really helpful, and I'm really grateful that you did, and it's going to help us to make next year even better, which is fantastic. Thinking a lot about next year, and we have all these things I've been telling you about that we've been working on for a while. You're going to start to see them. The very first ones will be in February, so not that far away. And then I would just say you might want to make sure you're not too busy at the end of September, maybe beginning of October. Around that time, we might need to spend some time together in earnest. So I'll tell you more about that as there is to know. But also, I think next year, as I said, is going to be a really different and fun time at Sketchbook School. We're going to be doing new courses. We're going to be doing some things that are going to be shorter and faster, as well as the big long courses. We're going to be doing some stuff that's short and faster. We have a whole new kind of, dare I call it, product that we're going to be bringing out, which I hope you like a lot. If you like this experience, I think you'll like that experience too. So there'll be a lot of things coming up. And so I hope that you're going to be making art making more significant in your life next year, and we're going to be there to help you with that. So end of commercial, but we are thinking about how do we make, for all of us, for me included, how do we make sure that art making is just a regular thing that we do, and that there's lots of interesting aspects to it, lots of things to learn and explore and to play with, but also that there's, you're always engaged, there's always stuff to do. So anyway, so what I would say is by next week, as I said, I'm hoping that I will have the full list of prompts, but I will tell you that next week I plan to do prompt number 51. I'm committing to it now. 51 is going to be our prompt. It is going to be something that at first you're going to say, what on, there's no apps. You're going to go through that, and then you're going to come away from Draw With Me. Is it the last Draw With Me of the year? No, it's the first Draw With Me of the year. You're going to come away from that saying, I'm a genius. Not me, you. You're going to say that you have had this revelation, and you've seen the world anew because of this thing that we're going to be doing next week. So that will be fantastic. All right. So yes, I haven't really had time to respond to any of your comments, but I'm so glad to hear from all of you and to know that this is something worth doing. but and that Eliza is excited by 51. It's going to be a good one. I'm promising you that. And Big Shed says, thank you, Sketchbook School. You got me this far. 2020 is the year it all comes together. Time to fly. I like that. I like your spirit, Big Shed. I hope you will step out of that big shed and take wing, or maybe within the shed. I'm not sure how the shed works exactly, but it will be worth it. It will be absolutely worth it. You know, and I think, again, let's always think about our art as a part of our lives. That's why you spell part, A-R-T. No, it's nothing to do with it. But making art into something that's just fun, that's easy. You know, I'll try and tell you more next time about these kind of kid drawing things that I've been doing. I hope you're not disappointed in that and think, I don't want to draw like a kid. But honestly, I think most artists would really like to draw like a kid. You know, Picasso being the obvious one, but I think lots of other people too have just drawn to tap back into that freedom, that sort of essentialism that comes from childlike art making, you know, which is a true expression of who you are, as opposed to trying to sort of live up to people's expectations, the marketplace, the art world, your art teachers, the judgmental part of you. But instead of saying, you know what, I'm just going to make this something I enjoy doing, and it's going to express who I am, and I will feel more complete in it, and I will learn more about myself, and I will see the good things about me that I maybe have overlooked, and all those kinds of things. That will be really great. So Meredith, I'm glad that you want to draw like to draw like a kid. It's actually way harder than you'd think. It's way harder. You know, kids can do a lot of things that we can't do, and we have to let go of a lot of things to get there. And there are things that you probably want to let go of anyway, so don't worry about it. So, all right. So art is fun. Art is play, and that's going to be our watchword for 2020 and beyond, starting with prompt 51. Stay tuned. See you then. Happy New Year, and I'll see you in 2020. The 20s, the roaring 20s. They're going to be awesome. It's about time we have a decade that has a name that you can actually understand, as opposed to aughts and even teens. 20s, much better. Talk to you guys later. Bye.